Call the meeting to order. I'll touch the flag. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Brew?
Here.
Mr. Babalani?
Here.
Dr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Mr. Pop?
Here.
Approval of minutes for the regular meeting of January 23rd, 2017. Any additions or corrections?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 23rd, 2017.
Support.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Approval of manifest 2017-3 in the amount of $276,700.87. Any questions? Mr. Pop?
I have none tonight.
I have none.
Mr. Menegini?
One question, curiosity more than anything. First page, halfway down, Department of Public Works, Northern Logging Company, surface cleaning tools / rubber ERAS for $321. What? It's about halfway down there in Public Works.
Yeah, I'll have to check on that.
Okay. And the only other comment I have for general information, we paid $52,560.06 into our Michigan retirement system. That's all I have.
Yeah, I had the same question Lee had, and I also have one about midway down on the police department, Chrysler World. There was $123. Is that the new car? Number 1007. I was just curious if it was under warranty, if it was the new car.
I'm not actually sure what they had done, so I'm not sure if it would be warranty work or not. So I'll double check.
Okay. On page 3. About halfway down the electric, the WPPI metering to SCA,
The SCADA,
yeah, what is that, Ray?
that's our,
$1,300.
yeah, that's our SCADA system, metering SCADA, and FDS has been working on that, on different reports, different,
So that,
Fixing that.
so that metering deal, that has nothing to do with the automated metering
No,
process?
no,
That's just
no,
a
that's
metering
our-
gauge on the,
right, that controls, that shows the activities at the hydro, that shows the activities at the substation, our main metering to WPPI. We
Okay.
fixed up that metering to WPPI.
okay. That's all I have.
Mary, Lee brought up the retirement. That number that he brings up almost every month or whatever with the retirement and health insurance, is that the number we're paying out, or are the employees paying some of that out?
That's the total we're paying, but it includes, the employees on the MERS contribute 8%. So that's in there. I mean, that number is the total we're paying in, the city
Okay.
and the
So the
employees.
employees are paying,
The employees pay 8%
of that?
of their wages in each payday.
okay.
Any other questions? Those need a motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve manifest 2017-03 in the amount of $276,700.87.
Support.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Tonight's agenda, we're going to add the automated meter system at the request of Mr. Babalani. And we're having a closed session tonight. We're going to add labor negotiations.
I make a motion, we approve the changes that Mr. Hayes had suggested.
Support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes. Next, we have addresses from the audience. Anybody in the audience like to comment on any agenda item, manifest or the minutes? You'll have a time to make comments on any subject at the end of the meeting. Next on the agenda is approval of the security camera, Strawberry Lake. I asked to put this on the agenda because I did take a tour of our police department, and I asked Chief Schaefer what we needed extra, and he said that he would like to have a security camera at Strawberry Lake. I know this has been discussed in the past, and most of the council has made their wishes known, but I thought we should bring it up since Chief Schaefer thought we needed it. Any other comments?
Did he approach you on that, or did you talk to him about that?
I asked him what he needed,
Okay.
and I was looking at this system. It's my understanding we have cameras out at Marion Park. We have the camera on Main Street now at the Hydro, and that's the one that he mentioned.
I guess I would like to say, last time we talked about this, I had them pull the reports for damages in the whole city of Norway and the township out at Marion Park. And I think that we should not spend the $2,400. I don't believe it's something we need versus what we were looking at with the damage reports. I do think that if there's a problem out there, we should have more patrolling. We still have some of these police cars sitting by your local businesses for hours. Hours. I can see some of them sitting there for a short period of time, but if there's a problem, we need to get out and patrol more. I think there's, if we were to look at cameras, we have a lot more invested out at the new tennis court. Somebody could very well go over there and put graffiti on some of the stuff and slash the nets. We got a lot more invested. And the compost site was also on these cameras as a possibility, and we have not had any, to the best of my knowledge, problem with the compost site all last year. I watched that thing like a hawk. And I just think this money is adding up. And 2,400 here, 2,400 there, and that's where we get where we are right now.
Well, it's my understanding there is cameras out at Marion Park.
There's
That we're not getting charged for. We're not getting charged for that. That's just temporary, that they're loaning to us.
But they're also not, I just think that we have enough cameras. We need to patrol more. We have the police department here. We got 2 guys on nights. They're in the same car, and you can ride by your local convenience stores here and see them there for hours. I'm getting tired of it.
Any other comments?
Well, I think we should get them. I'd rather be proactive than reactive. But
Well, I don't think we're going to change each other's minds here tonight.
no.
So there's probably further debate is unnecessary. So I'll make a motion that we approve security camera for Strawberry Lake.
All support.
Mr. Pop?
No.
Mrs. Brew?
No.
Mr. Babalani?
No.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes?
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is meter reading, Trimble handheld unit. Mr. Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a request by the Water and Electric Department. The handheld unit is for installing the meters, and we have one handheld unit right now, and they need to coordinate between the 2 departments in order to install the meters. So electric and water can't be installed at the same time. They need to use the same handheld, and they need to be reprogrammed for each one. So there was a request to get a second unit. Once that's complete, they would be able to turn that unit back in. That's a request. The unit is $2,775.
So it's for the water and the...
We are going through the water right now, but it's for either one can use it. It's the same unit as we have one right now.
So you're saying is that we need a new one because we have two separate meters and,
Right, you have to program the meter. It has a GPS and has an identified tag within when you install. You have to do the electric all at the same time or the water at the same time. You can't go in between water and electric. You have to come back and reprogram. So if the council decides not to purchase the second meter, they have to reschedule, they would just have to schedule between the two departments. They can't be installing at the same time.
so the same person couldn't read.
It's not reading, it's the installation. It's not the reading of it.
It's the setting up of the geological
Yeah,
for the meters is what it does.
yeah.
And the way I feel, this is another $2,700, $2,800. It was not put into the project originally, so it couldn't have been that important. And the meters, as far as we're not installing the meters, I know we don't have a lot of them yet, but we have some of them. They are not even leaving the shelf at the shop. And I just think that this is another waste of money. There's no reason why the departments can't work together. They use a lot of the same other equipment. I mean, what are we gonna do next? Are we gonna have to get another backhoe because each department needs their own? This is another $2,800 we don't need to spend?
Well, I see it as a convenience, not a necessity.
Well, basically it would save on time, wouldn't it?
If they install them at the same time, they need to, right now, you're right, they would just reschedule or schedule a week when one's installing versus a week when another one's installing. So it's a scheduling issue.
How hard is it to reprogram it from water to electric?
What they typically do is, and Mary, I don't know if you've watched them reprogram those, but it probably takes, they have to come in on the computer and get it rescheduled. So usually you come in and get it ready the day before. So it's all set to go, and we have to schedule, especially for water, we have to schedule those.
No, have we had water meters going in? We don't have no electric ones to put in right now, but we have water ones, right?
The water ones, yes, we're in the process of trying to get those scheduled and installed.
How many of them do we have installed?
I think we just got the one in right
We
now.
only have one. We put one in, and then had some issues with an internal number in the meters. They had to fix that. So we've got about 10 on the list we want to get put in that we know have stopped working meters out there. So those we're going to do first, but we told David to hold off till we were sure that this one was reading right. And we just got done reading the AMI meters last week when we read the meters, and that one worked good. They had to go and reboot the actual meter, but now it's working, so I think he'll be installing those.
So are we gonna have this problem with the other meters we start to put in now, or
My understanding is no.
no?
I'll let you know in a month, but, there was an issue that the supplier of the meter had fixed, but it never got fixed in the software. So I think once they fix the one, it'll carry
it's
through
automatically
to all the
carried.
installs.
How many meters do we have total installed right now, new meters, like with electric?
Just under 200, I want to say 195.
How are
electric
they
meters.
all working good? Or
They're
do we have
working
any
good.
issues with any of them?
The only ones we're having, and it's kind of intermittent, is way out. There's a couple way out at the end of I think it's District 5 Road, that
Okay,
we're not getting 15-minute interval reads, and it could just be the distance.
And those were the most beneficial to doing this project.
Right, and it's just really there's two out there, and the guy that Tim talked about maybe being able to put a booster on the meters, and it's hit and miss. We might not get a read for 3 or 4 days and then pick one up. So there's only I think there's two out there for sure that we're having trouble with. The rest of them are working fine. We had an issue up by the head end this month with some fiber getting, I don't know what happened up there, but anyway, it was the fiber to the collector on the pole. So once they got that fixed, that had nothing to do with the meters themselves.
There's no reason why we can't schedule the water meters. We have the water meters here. Schedule the water meters and start putting them in. And then once we get these water meters in, then have the electric take it and take it for a couple weeks when they get their meters and do what they got to do.
Sounds like it can take an awful lot more time to reprogram the computer that has to be scheduled, or, and plus if we had two, then we'd have a backup in case something happened to one.
We don't need a backup for everything we got. Gets expensive.
It's a new system, we shouldn't need a backup for it.
Well, I see both foremans, water and electric, want it. Wanting and needing are two different things.
Yeah, I think it's a, you know, it's a scheduling issue. If we only have the one, they can work through it. You know, if council does, chooses not to appropriate that. So it's up to council.
If we look at the entire budget, this is not a big ticket item. If you look at the cost of the metering system, this would be, what, 1% or 0.5%?
Everything adds up. The end of
I
the
think
day, it's
we
a
gotta stop
total.
spending. I think we gotta stop spending. This is a new system, we shouldn't need a backup.
What does the manager recommend?
Well, I'm going to leave this up to council because, quite frankly, I mean, it is a scheduling question. I know it's a convenience for the departments. I'm not going to recommend to go out and buy it. I mean, I hate to say that to the foreman said they wanted it, but, you know, I do understand, and I've had council members that were concerned about expenditures, and I think that this would be, this is not a necessity. We can work, especially, with the number of meters at this point that we're installing. So,
Well, does somebody want to make a motion?
I make a motion, we do not purchase the meter, Tremble handheld meter reader unit, that we do
Support.
not purchase it.
Support.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes?
Mr. Babalani,
Yes.
Dr. Hayes,
No.
Mr. Menigini.
Yes,
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is the automated meter system that Mr. Babalani wanted to talk about.
I guess I would like to throw this back on the table. I got some more information. I think that with the projects we have that we're waiting on, with the street project, we still did not get anything as far as quotes for the streets in between Iron and Mine Street, the quotes on like first, second, third, fourth, all the way down the line. We have a potential problem down at the hydro. If history repeats itself as it has been, we will have problems when we open that up. We have 200 and, let me see here. We have 280, I thought I had it here. $283,000 hanging out there for the water department and $153,000 hanging out there for the electric department. That I don't want to say halt the meter project, but I want to bring it down to a slow crawl until we're done with these projects. I don't want to spend any more money on it right now until we get everything else under control. We did order 472 meters that are already taken out of the fund for the for the electric, so we have plenty of meters. We have 97 water meters that were ordered and already secluded out of the fund. So we have a potential to hang on to a little bit of money for a little while longer. It would not really affect the rate right now, but it is gonna give us a comfort zone on these other projects. And I would like to see us hold off and not halt it, just hold off on the spending for that automated meter system. It's not working very well. We've had numerous problems with that system. And it's a dirty shame that it was okayed.
We need the new meters. We've got them ordered. Are you suggesting we don't install them?
I'm suggesting we put in some of the meters in the outlying areas and hold on to some of the meters unless we have a problem, so we have a stash of maybe 20 of each. So if we have problems, then start using them. But I do think we need to get these projects under control, because if we have problems with the street project, we're gonna need more money. And when we go for more money, you know what it does to the rates. And we cannot do that anymore, as far as I'm concerned. We gotta limit our liabilities with raising the rates.
Would you like to comment, Mr. Anderson?
No, I mean, there's, you know, we have a number of meters that, that we received, and, you know, they're scheduling. We have meters that aren't working on the water side, so we want to replace those meters. You know, when a meter stops, we got to get a meter in place. So, I mean, we budget, or we had budgeted X amount of dollars a year on meters, and that's to somewhat a discretionary expense. You know, as Mark is pointing out, that's a discretionary expense. Originally, we had budgeted $80,000 in the water fund, and we actually brought that down to $30,000, and we're not even coming close to spending that. So, you know, really the amount of meters we purchase is a discretionary expense. Now, we do have to replace the ones that go out, and I do, you know, we do want to have meters available for that. You know, you don't want a zero meter out there. You know, we can keep meters held back to account for that.
I just think we're losing a lot more water. I totally agree with you, Ray, as far as fixing the meters that we're having problems with, changing them out. And we need to keep changing the ones that we have out with these advanced meters, because that's what the system is going for. We do have, under the expenses for 2017-18, under the budgeted, we have $100,000, and if we have problems at the hydro, we are gonna need every cent of that to straighten it up. And we have $30,000 per year for the next 10 years on this meter project from the water department. And I'd like to hear something from Mary. Mary, what do you think we should do with this? Do you think we should concentrate on the street project? And if we need extra money to repair any extra leaks that were not in the project, do you think that's the way to go, or continue with this process on the level that we're committing it to?
Well, I think we need to, at budget time, visit that. I mean, like I said, there's 100,000 in there in electric meters. Tim's very concerned about what's gonna happen at the hydro. So I think if you get to budget time and we've opened up the machines and we see we need that extra 100,000, then you don't buy any meters. I think we gotta visit it at the time of, you know, the budget. I don't think we wanna cancel the project. I think we
No, I
wanna
don't
move
think so either.
forward. You're gonna put in new meters as they stop working, so you're gonna put this type of meter in there. But I don't think there's anything wrong with just visiting it at budget time every year. You know, we can leave the 100,000 in there. I don't think you're gonna see any more spending this year, because Tim has enough electric meters after this order comes in to get them through June, and David has enough. So there's not gonna be any more spending until before June anyway. And I think when we sit down to do the budget, you're right, we need the numbers on doing those streets. We wanna make sure we do those as part of the project. So, you know, we're just gonna have to sit down at budget time and decide what's going where.
Do you think we're losing more water with the leaks in the system, or with the meters that might not be 110% accurate?
I would have to think you're losing more in the leaks. I mean, I'm sure, I mean, like I said, we know meters that aren't working. We're estimating on those
And we
people.
have the meters, or we're getting the meters to square that away.
Right, and we've got 97 meters, so I mean, David's not gonna go and install all 97 meters. Obviously, he's going to keep some on the shelf for another meter that stops working. But we know of, I don't know the number off the top of my head, it's not many, 10 or 12 out there that have stopped working.
So we have enough for the year? We have enough to cover for this year? You think?
We're not gonna buy any more meters before June 30th.
Right, for this fiscal year,
We're good.
we're done, yeah,
Did
we're
you
good.
look at that sheet I gave you?
Yeah.
The 51,000 under electric? We have not paid for those meters, but they are ordered and we're obligated to pay for them. So we're gonna spend that much more money this year, but that's still putting him quite a bit under the 100,000 we had budgeted for this year too. So those meters are ordered and we'll be paying for those, but there's more than enough meters to get us through June 30th.
I
Well,
guess what I would, oh, go ahead, Lee.
I do believe there are people out there who are jumpering those meters too, on the water side. It's hard to say how much we're losing that way.
You can tell by the usage though, right, Mary? And we have the meters to square that away.
Right, we look, every month when we get the audit of our meter reading, we look at, and I'm not gonna tell you we catch every one of them, but we look at meters with zero usage, and did they have usage last month, and are they using 200 kilowatts of electricity, which tells you they might be gone, or are they using, we kind of weigh all that out. So we try to catch those those water meters that aren't showing usage or are showing very low usage. And, last year they were showing, 3 times that. Like I said, it's not that simple to catch every one of them because you're looking at,
Well, once you
Every
go and
account.
inspect and that tab is off. what's the-
right, now that, if they're
That's
cutting the
what I'm
tab,
saying,
yeah.
I
And they
understand there's a way of doing it, I don't personally know how.
Well, without physically going and looking at the meter, I
Yeah.
don't think you're gonna know that. And somebody could be, they might be using 3,000 instead of 5,000, and no, we're probably not gonna catch that.
But we would easily with the new meters.
I
They're
don't-
working.
I don't know, I don't know, like Lee's talking about they can cut the clip and basically take their meter off. I don't know, I don't think it's that easy with the new meters, but I don't know.
Well, I wasn't for this project right from the beginning, and I'm still not convinced this was the best way to go. But the council did vote for it, and we've got this money invested. So I guess we don't really have a choice, we have to keep moving now. But I am with Mark, I think you got, and what you're saying too, level back and see what happens with the dam or whatever. But I never was impressed with this project from the get-go when Mr. Pickard presented it to us, and I don't feel like we're getting our bang for our buck out of it. And
I believe this automated meter system put us back at least 5 years financially, if not more.
Well, it's a system
But
we
it's
had
done.
to use because our old meters are falling apart. We needed to do something, so we did that, and I guess we really don't need to do anything tonight because we're gonna discuss it at budget time anyway, so discussing it now and venting your anger, it isn't really changing anything, I don't think, right now.
I don't really think that's venting your anger. I think he's making a point that we've got other projects coming up. Like I said, I wasn't for the project, but council spoke and went through with it. I
Right,
just
so we're
think-
gonna rediscuss this, when we go through the budget, was my point, that we're really not accomplishing anything by discussing it tonight.
Well, no, I think we are accomplishing something because I would like to see us put a motion on the table and that there's no spending involving these meters, this metering project until it's budget time and we revisit it. I don't want to get a bill for another 500 meters. I know they said we don't need the meters right now, but I do not want a bill for another 500 meters that we have to
You
pay.
just said you're gonna get one because we ordered it. It's on
Yeah,
the
but
way.
that is
57,000
already out of this
The
picture.
51,000 that is showing there under electric, we're gonna get that bill because we've ordered them, we're
You're gonna see
obligated
it
to
on the
that.
manifest. That's
Did
what
we
I'm
even
saying.
get them meters yet? How long have we been waiting for them?
We got we have not got the meters. What we got is they send you 4, and Tim meets with the guy and they test them to make sure that everything's working right. And then once we approve the
Just
4
like to see
test
that
meters
bill.
we got,
Yeah,
then they
but I-
process the other meters.
I wanna
My
see it.
understanding is they're supposed to be here within the next 2-3 weeks.
How long have we've been waiting for them meters?
6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Have
now
they
you're
been-
saying that the 4 came in, them are test meters.
Yeah.
So once you guys test them, then the other ones will come?
Yeah.
So they should be coming?
Yes, and we've paid for the 4 regular electric meters, and we've paid for the 4 remote disconnects, the 2 different orders we had. So the meters should be, being made and being shipped. My understanding was it was gonna be within 2-3 weeks.
Do you either one of you know what the holdup is? I mean, we go ahead with this system, now all of a sudden you can't get meters to do it, to change them over?
There was, I don't know, there was a couple different things, but my understanding is WPPI made some changes to the programming numbers and the meters. They both went back and forth. I'm not exactly sure if you got more details than that, Phil.
No, HD Supply, who is actually providing the meters, said that they were actually going to warehouse the meters for us at no cost to us. So they may have they may on their own put meters on the shelf for us, even though we're not going to order new meters. If we get in a pinch where we had to order some, they would have them on the shelf. So we wouldn't be waiting, a couple months for them to manufacture them.
Why didn't they do that right from the get-go when they knew we
Well,
were
they were,
gonna go over to this?
because they manufacture these meters, they have to program and have a very specific serial number. And that's what they were going back and forth with the WPPI and HD Supply. So they didn't really know what number to manufacture. That
No.
was the problem.
Is there any other towns that are going with this metering system that we've been able to work with or talk to that changed totally over to this?
There's quite a few.
Are we just the first one to do this?
No, there's quite a few, especially through the Wisconsin system, that have used these meters.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Nothing in Michigan?
Well, the meter itself, are you talking about on the electric side?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that.
Is Crystal Falls?
Crystal
using
Falls
them?
probably, yeah,
I think
Crystal
Crystal
Falls.
Falls is using them.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure if it's identical to ours, but I'm pretty sure that they're using the same type.
Yeah,
of
because I just hope this ain't like we're the guinea pig for this and hopefully.
No, I don't think so. I think it all came down to that serial number issue. So,
Well, I think it all boils down to priorities, and it was mentioned a little earlier that they're afraid of a hiccup down at the hydro this spring. Well, last year we pulled $500,000 out of there to go on roads. I mean, we could have left that money there in case we do have a hiccup. Like I said, it comes down to priorities.
I guess out of this, I wanted to talk about this, and I would like to see us maintain the $382,033 into the water side, and maintain the $153,000 into the electric side. I don't know how we could do any kind of motion grant. Any ideas? Because I just want to get the meters installed that we have, do not halt the project, but slow it down to the scale where we can afford it.
I mean, it sounds like, Mark, and listening to council, or at least from your perspective, obviously I don't know how everybody else is thinking on this, but what I'm hearing is that the big issue is just ordering them. When we need to order them and move forward, and you guys look at this again during the budget. So I suppose the motion will be something along the lines of, if we're gonna order more and make more orders, you have to come before the council to approve.
Got to be
the
council
order.
approved.
We've already ordered under the electric, the 284 regular and the 188 that Mary was referencing. Those are on order and will be here, and it sounds like the discussion regarding the water, we have the meters ordered already to some extent.
Yeah, those are already taken out before that balance that I stated.
So I guess listening from your perspective, the motion would be to simply require any new purchases for either electric or water meters from this point forward.
For
to
the
be-
automated system.
For the automated
total
system to be through council approval or
Well,
subject to council.
that would be a council approval anyway, because we have to put it on the budget, so. So I guess I'm still not sure what we're accomplishing by making that motion, because we gotta do it through the budgetary process anyway. We have to approve the budget.
Well, I guess I would like a motion out there so everybody's on the same page that we would not be spending money on the automated meter system. Do not halt it, but slow it down to our level of affordability.
Well, that would be the budgetary process again. I think that we're gonna go through a budget. We're gonna have budget hearings this spring,
We're not to
We
the
just heard
budget
we're not
time
gonna-
here
we're
right
not
now,
gonna
though,
buy
Don.
any more meters until next year anyway, because we purchased those for this year, which is far under what the last budget was.
How can we word a motion, Grant? I would like to put one on the table. You know what I want to do.
Just as you referenced, I think the motion would be to, subject to council approval, any further purchases of additional expenditures associated
For
with
the automated
Yeah.
meter
AMI
system.
project.
You got that, Trish? I'd like to make that motion.
Subject to council approval, what? Could you say that again?
Subject to any further purchases of meters for the AMI project, make it subject to council approval prior to the purchase or the ordering of said meters.
And Mark, you made that motion?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Babalani, or,
We have to have a second. We have to have a
How many do
second.
we have on order? And how many will we have?
472.
We got 472 electric and 97 water meters on order that are already out of that balance that I stated.
The water meters are actually there. He has the water meters, they've been.
So
paid
they're on
for.
hand. We have them.
They're in the shop, he's got them, and they've been paid for. The electric meters, the 51,000 number that's there, those have not been paid for and we don't have them yet. So we would still have to pay that $50,000 bill when those meters come in.
But we would still have the $153,000 balance.
So I don't
That
think we're
was
gonna
not
go
spent.
through that many anyways until budget.
Right, that was my whole
So-
point. It's all gonna be under the budget anyway, so I think that this
Yeah, but what
really
happens if
isn't
we need,
accomplishing
what happens if
anything.
we need something up at the head end, or if we need something? I don't want to spend any more money on this project right now. I just,
Well, either way, it's gonna be until budget. I support. It's- We have enough till budget, so it's just,
Mr. Babalani,
yes.
Dr. Hayes,
Well, I guess I don't understand why we're even doing this, so I'll vote no.
Mr. Menegini?
No,
Mr. Pop,
yes.
Mrs. Brew.
Yes.
Okay, again, I'm not sure what it accomplished. Does anybody in the audience like to make any comments on any item? Anybody in the audience, any comment, anything out there? We'll start with Mr. Pop tonight. Any comments you'd like to make?
I have nothing for tonight.
Ms. Brew?
I have nothing.
Mr. Menegini?
yeah, a couple items here. See, last week, Norway made Channel 6 News again. Congratulations to Becky Kleikamp and her crew for putting on the Easter egg hunt at Marion Park on April 15th. And you could have knocked me over with a feather when they said this is the 23rd year they have it. I mean, it brings thousands of people into town. It's I probably shouldn't say it's a zoo out there, but it's pretty close to it when they show up. And a big congratulations to our still undefeated Norway girls and boys basketball team. And congratulations to the Knights cheer team for second place in the UP Classic in Munising. And we can't forget the Norway ski team, which just took a second at Norway Mountain this past weekend. And that's all I have.
Mr. Babalani?
Well, I guess I would like to cover the OSHA violation. I missed the last meeting, and I guess I read the meeting executive notes from the last meeting that I missed. I read all the information on the violation, and I guess I'm still not clear. Did we ordered the masks, or we fit test, we ordered the mask and we ordered the wrong ones, or they sent the wrong ones? I guess I'm not real sure. I read this over probably a million times and I still don't know what it says.
We fit test the masks that we had on hand. And the mask size of the fit test was not, actually the mask size of the fit test that they had for us up at the occupational safety was not the same size as what we had on hand. So what we had to do was order 2 new masks that fit the size for the test.
Okay, so then they refit
Then
before they
did
order?
it. Then, when we got the actual masks in, then we did a second fit test.
Okay. we hired this guy for a safety representative. This is a major concern. There's chemicals that can kill you down there. What is this guy doing? Does he look at any of this stuff? Does he look at some of the procedures? Does he look at the equipment? What are we paying him for?
You're paying him to ensure that the employees have a safe working environment. The particular situation, he's actually the one that brought it to my attention, and we had to move forward with providing that safe work environment. So
How long have we had this safety coordinator involved? Because I believe he's been here for about a year and a half.
yeah, he's been here a year and a half, and this is the first time this issue has come up. So since about the middle of last summer, we've been dealing with this issue.
But I mean, if he's been here for a year and a half and we've been paying him, why isn't he
It's not
taking-
his job. It's not his, the way that the safety program is set up, Mr. Martin is not the safety cop. What he does, we pay him to come in, provide training, and our own staff needs to do the safety audits and needs to work the procedures. So Mr. Martin, when this was brought to his attention, tried to work with the department and then bring it to my office, and we had to work with the MSDS sheets, the chemical itself, and there were a number of issues that we had to deal with. It wasn't just a mask, it was leading up to that point. So
But I mean,
I felt very comfortable with how he handled it, and outside of the back and forth that we had, but that's something that we'll deal with internally.
so he was here for a year and a half, and he is supposed to be training the employees how to handle their jobs in a safe environment, and he has not went down and dealt with one of the biggest chemicals that we have in the city of Norway for the employees to deal with. He has never even went down there and
I'd like to defer this, if you could defer this, because we're going to start getting into a situation that is, I don't believe, conducive to argue at this point. I want to try and not have an argument about decades of issues that might have been going on. I want to, I think that, I don't believe that this is a good forum to be discussing this at this point.
Is there a process down there that can be changed so we can get out of this environment? I know that the ventilation is being changed. I seen that into this in your notes.
Yes, one of the issues that I brought forward to the supervisor was that chemical has been used, like I said, for decades. To pin it on somebody just because they're here for 1 year is, I think, grossly unfair, because this issue has been going on for, like I said, for many, many years. Now, the process, in sitting down with the supervisor and the employees, the process needs to be evaluated. And we had a discussion today. He brought to me a new process that looks like it looks very promising, that would eliminate this this chlorine in a gas form, which is much safer. So I'm always in favor of trying to mitigate those issues. PPE and engineering is probably one of the better solutions or engineering a solution, a safety issue out is probably your best solution, and that's what we're looking at right now.
On the process of getting the OSHA fine reduced, did we have to submit to any guilt to that, or what was I don't know, can we talk about that, Grant, in an open session? I would like to know why the fine got reduced. Is that typical what they do in that process? Can we talk about that in a short, brief statement, or not really?
as far as how OSHA goes about issuing citations and how they go about considering reduction in them,
Yes.
you can talk about it generally as much as you want.
The process is that
I don't mean to disrespect by that, but I mean,
But
go for it.
there's there's no issue with talking about it. Yes, what you do is if you go out there, you have X amount of days, you can appeal it. If you feel you were unjustly charged, or if you say you're not gonna appeal it, if you just sign basically saying you're not gonna appeal the fine, they'll reduce it in half and you move on, and you have a
Okay.
corrective action.
Okay.
And that's what we did.
I was
That
just
is what
curious
we've done in every OSHA issue that we've had. We haven't had many, but, you know, it's one of those things that you could spend a lot of time and energy and money, you know, arguing with them, and in the end, you're gonna probably end up at the same place you start. So, you know, in this case, we were talking $750, you know, so you look at it from a business sense and you say, look, the only thing that he argued on was the fit test. We made a corrective action on it, and we moved on.
Okay.
So you said we fit tested them with 2 respirators. They didn't work, then you ordered 2 other ones.
No,
So they get tested
Not
after
that they
the order?
didn't work, it's that the mask size that they had at the occupational clinic was different than the mask size we had here.
Tested with. They had them
Correct.
tested with.
Correct. So we ordered the 2 masks that would be used during the fit test and then used, so that we had the same size and the same mask.
And then they didn't fit?
Well, they fit, they just, we tested the different sizes. That was the issue the first time, it was.
Okay, so they tested in the size, but then we ordered the things, whatever, and they weren't tested after that.
No, we test them after that. When
Oh, they
they came
test
in,
them
then
after-
we send them back up and said, look, we're
Before
gonna get this
OSHA
done.
was involved, we tested them after.
Correct,
after
that was a
Okay.
corrective action, and OSHA
Okay.
was fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I guess I didn't understand. I missed the meeting and I looked at all the paperwork. The only other thing I read your statements in the executive session. I just gotta say, because I missed the meeting, I was extremely annoyed that I had to learn that on the street. And I know you apologize for not getting it out there, but I had a problem with that.
I just have one question. When he's talking about when you go back and you get the fine reduced, so do you have to accept the guilt of what the fine is to get it reduced?
I think the way the language is written is that you're not going to appeal.
So, okay.
That's not a
A
guilt
guilt?
or innocence, it's appeal.
Okay.
I'd like to point out, it's my understanding that OSHA is funded by the fines that they levy, so if they don't levy fines, they don't get salaries.
Well, they're out there for a reason.
Yeah, I don't believe they're just issuing fines to pay the salaries, Doc. I think that's a bad statement.
Well, I think but that's how they get paid, so they're
That
gonna
would
want
be
to
just like
collect their
police
fines
department
was
gets
my
paid
point.
by
I
giving
think we're
tickets.
better off to move on. not
Yeah,
to
that's
mention
a good idea.
Right, and I don't want to get involved with that discussion.
One thing I would like to see, if it snows again, I read the Parks and Recs, it was from December 8th, and they were talking about snow guns. Maybe it would be wise to dump some of the snow that we're hauling up on top of the sledding hill, just because we got to dump it somewhere else, you know, I know the snow gun talk was December 8th, so.
Yeah, that's been talked about before, and the problem with using street snow is that, you know, you have salt and sand, different debris, and so you
Okay.
typically don't want to put that on your sledding hill, but
Okay. The other thing, I don't know if it was going into the city packets for the billing. I see that the tree orders are starting now for Memorial Day planting.
yeah.
Kind of disappointed that, I know we've had some snow lately, but there's still a lot of trucks riding around, and we have a lot of trees to be cut on the boulevards, and I would like to see us keep stepping forward with that, and I haven't seen any action. And I'm also still waiting for like we talked about before, the street project estimates to be starting to look at, for in between the streets, that are getting done, that we're gonna have to pay for, like First, Second, Third, Fourth Street. I know that March is coming, and March and April is our contractor kickoff, and we still haven't made much progress, to the best of my knowledge, on getting the quotes. That's all I got.
We were supposed to have a public hearing on medical marijuana, but I guess we don't need to do that, so I don't think we really need any discussion on that. Is that my understanding, correct?
No, it's just that, you know, timing-wise, the way the legislation is written, and Grant, correct me if I'm wrong, but because the state needs to have their regulatory agency out of Lara in place, they are not allowed, you're not allowed to submit an application until November.
So there's no sense.
Yeah, so I mean,
No rush on it.
you'd no rush on it to do it right away, you know, and a lot of communities are not rushing out right now. It's kind of a wait and see.
Mr. Carlson, any comments,
No, thank you.
ladies?
I just, sorry, Lee. I just want to clarify on the AMI, the second page of that handout I gave you, there are some annual costs that we're obligated to. We pay monthly to WPPI for that MDM. I just want to make sure that you're still going to see that on the manifest each time.
Is that for the billing?
Yeah, that's for the software and the collecting, you know, of the data and the managing of the data that we get from the AMI meters. The first charge you see on there is $6,300. That's a fee per tower. For the census side of it and for the FCC side of it, we have not been billed for that yet. I don't know when we'll see that bill.
Was that all included in that 800,000 for the whole project though?
Yes.
How long
That's just an
are we in
ongoing-
contract with them?
What was that?
How long are we in contract with them?
I don't really think we're under a time frame, are we, Ray?
I'm not familiar with that, or,
I think,
I don't
I think
think we
the
have a time
contract was basically just for the price per meters, which they've locked us into that price. I don't think there's a time frame. I think it was just a contract for that project.
But what about the billing there is a
The
contract?
billing?
Oh, the billing?
Yeah.
That was a 10-year. That was a
That's a
10-year
10-year.
payback.
yeah, that's a
on that.
10-year note from WPPI.
I'm not sure how far we're into that, but I could find that out.
Not very.
No, probably
Too far, we shouldn't have got it in the beginning.
less than 2 years.
Any other comments?
No.
Mr. Anderson?
I have not.
We need a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion, we go into closed session.
Support.
One of the, before we,
Dr.
to
Hayes?
hang on to clarify that, one of the two executive session issues, one is property acquisition, and one is city manager evaluation. That's Mr. Anderson's decision, whether or not he wants to go into closed session for city manager evaluation.
At this point, I'm okay with that.
All right, I just wanted it for the record.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mrs. Brew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
On this respirator, on the OSHA deal, I'm reading the report from whatever this is, and it says that 2 were forced to go into a situation, and they were forced to use the respirators that they were not fitted for.
We had a disagreement at that time. It was, the occupational safety advised me that the test was good. And so I told
Okay,
them
this
to
is
take
saying
care
it was
of
in between the testing, so they were saying, they're
They were
saying
tested. They
that
were
they're saying,
tested.
but they failed with that
No.
respirator.
That's not true. They did not fail with that respirator. They passed that particular
Well,
respirator.
this is right from the safety and the thing. It says, "We, the employees, were ordered to fix a leak in the chlorine room on 10/4/16. Chlorine room was located at the wastewater plant. Some used the SCBAs were provided to us to use for the task, and we were instructed to use them. We were not fit tested for the equipment that was provided, nor were we effectively trained on how to use the equipment provided to perform the job.
Okay, they were fit test, and there was a disagreement on that test. And that's when OSHA came in. That was one of the disagreements we had.
So OSHA is agreeing that they weren't fit tested for that?
No,
Is that why we got fined?
OSHA then, based on, I had a conversation with occupational safety, and I had a conversation with another industrial hygienist, and they said our fit test that we performed was fine, it was adequate, and they passed. And they were arguing about the size of masks. And when OSHA came in, they reviewed that, and they...
That was with the new masks that they had received after they were told to perform it.
OSHA came in before we got the new masks. OSHA came in before we got the new masks.
Okay.
So OSHA basically was
So
arbitrating that issue.
what was the actual fine from OSHA?
$750.
No, what was the reasoning we got fined from OSHA?
Because of the fit test.
Because of the fit
Because they
test.
said that,
So I just don't, I'm not understanding. You're saying one thing and now we're saying that.
No,
We got, well, if it was fine, if they got fit tested, we shouldn't have gotten fined.
But they got fit tested on a large mask,
Okay,
and we had medium masks.
and that's what they were told to go in, so they weren't fit tested on medium masks.
We were told it didn't matter, the size did not matter.
Who told us that?
Who told us that? Because I think this is a serious incident. And I do not want to take this lightly. I don't want to say it. Whoever told these guys to go into an unsafe area without the proper testing, and because they were fit tested for something else and they were given something else, that's serious. That, on my
we
terms,
were
is
instructed, but we
not-
were instructed by who was it? It was occupational safety. There was another industrial hygienist,
Everyone told us the size didn't matter.
everybody that we talked to.
Even the occupational clinic.
Well, maybe that shouldn't have been, if OSHA fined us for it because it did matter. So maybe we should have looked into this a little bit different because this is serious. I want to look more into this. And I think more of it should come out. That's all I have.
And the safety, the guy that we have for safety, this should have been one of his main stops to research. This should have been one of his main areas, training these people. You said that he was responsible for the training with the attire that they were supposed to wear. They didn't obviously receive the training that they were supposed to get.
Who instructed them to go into this area?
Well, hang on, I'm gonna, at some point here, this is
Yeah.
going a little bit further than council comment.
Okay, yeah.
This is going a little bit further and diving into things that, I think it's appropriate to address with Ray and talk to him about it. But I don't think it's appropriate to go into it. This is this is not something that was on the agenda.
Okay, so is this something that could be discussed with just me and Ray? Can we also
Absolutely.
have the supervisor from down there involved with this?
That's up to City Manager Anderson. I think that's appropriate. If you have questions, I always urge the council to go talk to the city manager. Absolutely.
If that's the case, I know two of us from the council can be in on that meeting. I would love to be in on that meeting also.
I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't have said, well, who instructed, yeah, I'm sorry
That's
about
okay.
that. It just, I'm looking at this, I just received this, and I'm like, this upsets me.
There's a lot of things that I'm not getting upset about on this whole thing too. You know what I mean?
Well, I just don't think somebody should have been instructed to go into some.
Scott,
some
hold on a minute.
That's,
Councilman Pop, I guess what I am going to caution and for the public's input, I think you're getting one side of the story, and you're hearing commentary from a very reputable city clerk Plant, and city manager Anderson, who's been upfront with both the good and the bad, and you're hearing from one side, one person,
I'm
one
just
side.
reading
I
the
understand.
complaint.
I understand, but I just want to caution you and make the comment. You're hearing one side of things, and City Manager Anderson is trying to respect and not get into a debate and maybe get into different sides of the story. So I just want to caution,
Yep.
and I understand where you're coming from, but it's one side of the story, and making commentary. I understand where you're coming from, but it's one side of the story.
And then one side, that's why I would like to
Right.
have the
Right.
supervisor also involved, or
Right, so they
individuals
shouldn't
that
be
were
brought up
involved.
in a public meeting anyway, so.
Can we get a
Well-
meeting together with, I would love to sit in on it also if possible.
Well, I don't care if I sit it, I just want.
No, I think you
want-
should. Because two people can sit in on it from the council.
So I don't know.
I just would like a copy of what he's reading off of at some point.
That's all.
I guess we're finished.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Support.
Mrs. Drew?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Mendigini?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.